Hey guys, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
having
having
us,
us.
Andy.
I am really excited about this. Not just about today's episode, but about what we're gonna, I suppose, discuss today and tell all of our listeners about, which is our brand new partnership. I'm so excited about this because this has been in the pipeline for a while, and finally we're able to give our community this huge piece of work and support that they've been asking for so long about, all the technical aspects, of actually producing our HMOs once we've bought them. We're going to talk about floor plan optimization, interior design, planning, and building regs today. And I think what I'd really like to do is talk with you guys about what these elements are, what's involved, and perhaps most importantly, why we need to be paying such special attention to these. And I think we've got some examples of maybe the impact that doing this stuff and doing it right can actually have on our properties and the income we can generate. So you guys have been on the show before. You are no strangers to the HMO podcast at all. But do you want to just, maybe there's one or two people out there who haven't caught up with your first episode, who've been living under a rock and don't know you guys. But do you want to give yourselves a quick intro again?
Yeah, of course
Yeah.
we can. So we're Andrew and Mary. We are Elite Dwellings. You can find us in all the usual places under Elite Dwellings. We're both architects by profession, and we are also investors ourselves. So we have a HMO portfolio, and we're looking at moving into developments as well in the coming months, years.
And what I think I love most about this partnership that we've set up, and what you're going to be able to help our community with is that you guys are not your typical architects, and I mean this in the nicest, bestest way possible. You are first and foremost you're HMO investors, and you guys absolutely get what it is we're trying to achieve because you do this yourself. I mean, you've just bought Project X. You've got another huge project on the go yourselves, so you really understand what's important to us as HMO investors. You understand the technicalities and the real kind of nuances of our quite strange industry and all these planning restrictions. And I think you also really get it from like a budget and an aesthetic and like an economic point of view. So that's for me why I think that this is such a great partnership and why I think that this could be so valuable to so many of our listeners. So there are a few things three things in fact that I'd really like to just talk to you guys about today and get a bit more information about, and hopefully we can help our listeners understand perhaps how you can help them with these things. I'd like to talk about floor plan optimizations. I'd like to touch on planning and building control, and I'd like to talk about interior design. And of course, these are all part of the service that you can now offer our listeners and our community in partnership with the roadmap. So, can we kick off with floor plan optimization? Because for me, this is one of the most powerful sort of ways to actually maximize the value of any of our investments. And you guys, I've worked with you myself, and you've helped me do this. You've helped a number of my friends do this, and you're helping a lot of people in our community already do this. But can you talk to us about floor plan optimization? What is it? What are we talking about? And what sort of things can you help us with to actually get the most out of what we've already got? You just seem to see things that we can't see. And I've got some examples. You did a scheme for one of my mentors recently, one of my mentees recently, sorry, and they've got a few bathrooms in up en suites in upstairs, and they were originally looking at had some sketched up themselves, and like I just wasn't quite sure it was working. It was leaving some rooms a little compromised, and like some rooms like maybe just a bit bigger than they needed. And you guys made some really simple changes that looked so obvious afterwards, but well, they really weren't that obvious when you were just looking at the floor plan, and it's great seeing. Of course, you did the floor plan optimization for my project at Hillside recently. We moved the whole of the ground floor around, and we moved a bathroom from one side of the house to the other, and we've now managed to get two en suites in there. And of course, there was the garage in there, and you've managed to get this great garage room space, and with an ensuite in there, and it, as well as, like you said, as well as actually carving those spaces out and shuffling things around, it's then where does the furniture go? And it's great because actually yesterday I went into Hillside, and we're starting to plan to buy the furniture, and I have a friend of mine who just helps order some of my materials, and you know, he's my pal, and he just does a bit of my design work with me, and we enjoy it. And I just was able to stand in there with him, and because we've been through the floor plans that you produce, you know, he knows exactly where the bed's going, he knows exactly where the TV is going, he knows exactly where everything should go, and we're not thinking, you know, is this piece of furniture going to work here, or is that going to work there? And it's amazing how much time that actually saves afterwards, and then how much you can maximize what you're left with at the end. You know, just simple things like the space between the bed and the desk, or the way that you can get through the room and into the ensuite. Actually, if you don't think about them up front, it can really not work. So it's just, it really kind of does blow my mind when I sort of see you guys take something and just see something that it just looks, you know, completely invisible to me and other people. So I think for a lot of people, even though they may think that they've got the greatest scheme, there's a good chance that you guys will see something quite a bit better. And I think before we hit record, you actually said, I think you're working on a project for one of our mutual friends, Vicky Martin. And did you say that you got actually managed to get just an extra room out of shuffling things around?
So there was a loft space in her project, and when she brought it to us, she said, "Look, I want to get 8 bedrooms in this, but I'm not sure the loft works as a space." And then I just took the survey, got into the nitty gritty of it, tried to figure out, because part of it was eaves height, eaves of the loft and head heights, making sure, you know, the area over 1.5 meters high generally in most councils, and it wasn't even close. It wasn't even like you were struggling to get 6.5 square meters. We got nearly a 10 square meter bedroom up there, and so whilst that became the 8th bedroom, but what that allowed us to do, because she said, if I can't get a bedroom up there, I'll make a snug or a study or something like that. But because we managed to get the bedroom up there, that meant that one of the rooms downstairs, that she could have had 9 bedrooms if she wanted, but one of the rooms downstairs she could turn into more social space. And we managed to open up the 2 rooms next to each other into this amazing open plan kitchen living space, rather than having like a little kitchen and then this snug space up in the loft. So it was really worked out really well. I know Vicky was really happy that we managed to get it to work.
I think we always look for the opportunities to not just maximize your floor plan, but actually maximize the use of the space, so they become really amazing spaces for tenants to live in and to be in. And our trail of thought when we're kind of designing floor plans and designing schemes is, you know, how do you create these amazing spaces, and how do you create a great flow for the end user? So like you were saying, Andy, it kind of comes second nature for us to understand zoning within spaces. So zoning within communal areas, you know, you don't sometimes if you're a little bit of a novice of an investor, you might put your kitchen, your dining table and a sofa at the back, like in that same space, and then there's people on the sitting on the dining table and the guy in the sofa can't see the TV. So it just understanding how you can zone a space so you can actually put the same things within the space, but break that down into like smaller compartments. Really helps out. And also, like with the bedrooms, zoning, you know, changing areas, wet areas, dry areas, sleeping areas, calm areas, study areas.
I mean, you were just on a call the other day where working on another project we're working on at the moment, and all the rooms are really long. There's a corridor and all the rooms come off next to each other. And then they've carried on doing that, and then they get to the last bedroom, and then there's a narrow kitchen on the end in the same orientation at the end of the corridor. Yeah. And Mary just went, well, why don't we just flip that last room around, and then we get a nice big square kitchen as opposed to this long narrow one? And you could just see the client's brain just be like, blown.
And it was like, it works.
And it's just, and you can see the logic of why they did it, because actually the corridor got a little bit longer with what Mary suggested, but the bedroom was still 10 square meters, still had an ensuite. The kitchen was still
rectangular.
It was now a nice big square that was maybe technically 1 square meter smaller, but was a much more usable shape and would make a much better kitchen living space. And he's just like, this is why I've got you on the call, Mary, type thing. Just one simple change, but can make a big difference. And like Mary said, about the user experience as well, not just about numbers and things like that.
I think on that user experience as well, that's one of those things that I think as investors and certainly as newer investors, we may not realise the long-term value in getting that just right, because actually if tenants enjoy where they live, they will stay much longer, and that'll reduce our costs, it'll increase our bottom line, and it's really easy to forget that just it can be quite annoying if you can't sit on the sofa and see the TV properly, or if it's really awkward to get changed in your ensuite, or just little things like that do ultimately frustrate people and lead to them thinking about getting alternative accommodation. So I love all this stuff, and it's great to we just getting this sort of just peek into what's going on in your heads when you guys are looking at these floor plans, and it's really exciting. But I can say firsthand, I've seen you guys work this magic just on my projects. I've seen you do it with other people, and I'm really excited now that you can help all of our community with floor space and floor plan optimization. Let's talk about planning and building regs then. I've been doing this a long time. This is still one of the areas that I struggle with, and I think a lot of people struggle with it. And I think one of the things is we often lack the confidence as well. It is a bit complicated. We're worried about getting it wrong because the repercussions, can be quite substantial. So tell us, guys, you can help us. You can help our community with this element as well, can't you? And I guess there are two different things here. There's planning and building regs. Can you tell us a little bit about, I suppose, where you can help us in our community?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's not. We don't have time, Andy, I don't think, to get into a whole discussion about planning and licensing and the differences and stuff like that. But planning is, a massive thing in HMOs especially, and becoming more prevalent across the country and more coming in Article 4 direction. So it's not just from a how can we help you perspective. It's vitally important that people understand how vital it is for them to make sure they're spot on with their planning. That could be just getting a certificate of lawful use for an existing HMO within an Article 4 area, or a planning permission to change to a HMO in an Article 4 area, or planning if it's a sui generis HMO, because it's not just about you might just think, oh well, I'll slide under the radar or something, but you can really come and bite you in the ass when it gets to revaluations, and lenders are getting much hotter about it now and wanting to make sure that you've got the correct certificates and you've got that proof that you're a legal HMO. So it's vitally important that people get it right.
Absolutely, and having just kind of us having the understanding of what are requirements in general for HMOs, that kind of would enable planning to go ahead, and also understanding licensing and the differences in licensing in different areas and things like that as well. We get a lot of clients who come with floor plan ideas to us. However, they haven't quite managed to get the right area for the communal areas or for the bedrooms and so on and so forth. And we just kind of have the knowledge to know and to understand and to seek out to make sure that they're doing it all correctly.
Yeah. I guess there's a couple of different facets to planning as well. There's these sort of technical aspects like change of use and whether or not we're operating legally, with Article 4 directions and things like that. And then there's also the planning to convert spaces like garages and lofts, and knowing whether or not it's PD and even like extensions and things like that. And I think nobody should feel like they should know all of this stuff. It's complicated stuff, and you guys, and I know again from working with you so closely over the last 12, 18 months, that you guys have got such a great understanding of this stuff, far better than your average investor like me. And it's really nice just to have someone there to hold your hand, to guide you through it, to sort of explain the risks, the possibilities, and give you the options, but with much more informed sort of degree of knowledge.
Yeah.
Building regs, then this is obviously different, and this is one of the areas that always trips me up. Is I've over the years always forgotten about it until the building inspector turns up and says, well, "Can I see the drawings?" And like, "Oh, I haven't got any drawings." I'm like, "Oh shit!" And you got to go back to get someone in, get some drawings. So this is a really technical element.
Yeah,
You guys
absolutely.
can help people with this, though, can't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
I think we're in terms of building regs, it is exactly like you say, Andy. Most investors, they don't think about building regs. It's not really a thing that we always like on a day to day. It's not like you're gaining planning or anything like that, so you don't think about it. And most investors tend to just change the inside of a building rather than doing anything more than that. And the understanding is that I'm just changing the interior, so it shouldn't be a problem. However, for some years now, the kind of the councils and the government changed the goalposts. So even if you're doing plumbing, having a new bathroom in and having a new kitchen in, which is what most of us do, like HMO investors and property investors, that actually needs building control to come and sign off. And again now. Lenders now ask for it. Lenders have asked us several times about even just changing bathrooms around, that we need the building control drawings and building control sign off. So there's that aspect of it, just having a basic plan layout of what's going to happen, so you can hand over to building control, to things a lot more complicated where you are converting your loft, you are converting your garage, and you need to have the drawings to say, okay, how much insulation do you have, how much are you bringing up, raising the floor so it's just up to standard, and how much insulation you're putting to the walls, and where all your services are coming from. So that gets a little bit more complicated, and that needs to be signed off by building control a lot of the time before you start building. So they're really important things to consider ahead of time.
This is where I think just working with somebody like you guys begins to make so much sense, because first of all, we can look at a scheme and we can do some floor plan optimization, which is going to need some measurements and some drawings, and then we can take those drawings and those kind of final elements of what we've decided on, and let's say part of that is is a garage conversion or is a loft, and then we can build on top of that with the building regs drawings, and we're not going to somebody else and losing all that continuity, which takes time, it costs more money, things slip through the net, don't they? I love this about this, and this is one of the reasons I'm so excited about this, because I just know that this is going to be able to help so many people. Building regs, it's just not the sort of thing that your average investor like me is ever going to understand. I mean, I'll be honest as well, sometimes the building inspectors, it is complicated stuff. We did a garage recently, and some of it's really awkward, like because of the levels, and then they wanted a particular type of floor, and then the certain fire breaks that you need. It's really, really complicated stuff, and again, nobody should feel like they should know this stuff. This is absolutely when you get the experts in, and you guys are the experts. Okay, well, for me then, the final layer of all this. Let's say we've done the floor plan optimization. We've got we've got an extra bedroom. We've shuffled things around. We've optimized stuff. Then we've done the building regs, and we've been able to get the development done properly and get it signed off. And then there's the nice, sexy bit at the end, the interior design, which I know you guys are hugely passionate about. You've done some incredible projects yourselves and for other clients, and this, I think, is one of the areas where, and we've banged on about this, a lot on the show over the last couple of years, but this is one of the areas where you really can have a huge impact on your return, and actually you can be really, really smart with the way that you use your budget. But I would, again, caveat that with, it's easy to get it wrong if you don't know what you're doing. What I've seen people do, and I've made this mistake myself, we've used the wrong materials. We've used things that have fallen out of fashion very, very quickly, and it's been quite expensive to go back in and change that. Can you talk to us about interior design and how you guys can help us? And actually, I don't know if you've got maybe an example of how valuable this can be in terms of what a good scheme, a good interior design scheme can actually do in terms of rents, because I think that sort of context can be really useful for anybody listening who maybe thinks that they should, think about interior design, but maybe doesn't quite understand how valuable getting it right can be.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of interior design, like you were saying, Andy, it's the sexy part of it, right? You do all the hard work in the background, and nobody sees that hard work. And everyone sees those slick images in the end. But no, in all honesty, it's the interior of the building and that finished interior that is the usable space. That's the space that is appreciated by the tenants. And when the tenants walk in, they want to sign, on the dotted line, because they fall in love with what they see, right? And they see that as their home. So it's so important for us to get that part of it right. And as much as there is like so much psychology involved in actually getting the interior design right, it is it is there. It's the beautiful things that we put together that will entice people to move into that property. And what were you going to say?
No, just build on that. Yeah, it's we. I know again you spoke about, Andy. The times have gone of magnolia walls and it's all professional. But the point is, we're starting to now move on to, like, there's a lot of people doing professional finishes and professional photos, and so now it's taking it to that next level to help you stand out on the listings and attract those tenants. So it is becoming really vitally important. We lived in HMOs for 8 years through uni and after graduating, and I would love to live in some of the stuff that you see on the market these days. But yeah, we you asked about kind of an example. We did a project with Seth, who you'll have seen, who's been on the podcast, and you'll have seen on our socials, and his was an 11-bed HMO, which I know might sound a bit bigger than what some people are doing. So if we break it down into a room by room, Seth gave us these numbers. He obviously, you have to paint a house regardless of what you're doing with it. So he calculated that he spent an extra £5,000 on kind of interior improvements that were above and beyond what would have been in his budget. So that's about £450 a bedroom, and the increased rental income was £16,000 for the year, which is about £1,500 a room. So in terms of, call it £500 a room, £1,500 return, he's kind of getting three times his money back. Getting three times his money back on what he spent. And what were they trying to achieve on the rent?
So per room, they were, like, for the area, they were trying to achieve a 550, which was actually like the top of the market where they were. And after the interior design and actually creating really, really gorgeous rooms, they've managed to get 765 for their rooms, and they're like averaging 700 for their rooms, which is just mind blowing, especially with where they operate and everything.
That really is staggering. I think Mike Clay, a mutual friend of ours, was on the podcast recently, and Mike, one of the things Mike talked about was he won the HMO Investor of the Year award, and one of the things that Mike said that really stuck with me is, he's always treated his properties like a business, and approached everything like a business, and made business decisions on it. And if you can, if we can listen to people like you, experts, in this field, and you can tell us that, if we spend, a bit more money on this, we can potentially get double, maybe even triple the amount back on it. This is just really good business, and it makes so much sense to do it. And I think with your help, because I see the schemes that you do, and they are just another level completely. And you guys are, right at the forefront of what you're talking about, Andrew. This completely, next level of accommodation for young people, which is incredible to see, but not that easy. Again, for your average investor like me to pull together. I'm not an expert in materials and palettes and brand and design and styling, and just having somebody like you guys there to present the options, to actually walk me through the process of what it could look like, how we could do it, what it might cost us, is invaluable, I think. And again, it's just that it pulls all of this together I think for anybody who's buying a HMO, buying a project, got these grand ideas, but doesn't quite have the skill, which a lot of what we're talking about, very sort of expert subjects. That's fine not to have those skills, but to be able to bring guys like you in to help us do it, to pull it all together, and to be able to, do the floor plans, do the building regs and the planning, and do the interior design element, so that we have the confidence that we are going to have this market-leading product at the end. For me, that just makes so much sense, and I'm really, 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 really excited. I think I'm really excited to be working with you guys myself, what you can tell. But I am
We are
really
too,
genuinely,
Andy. Thank you.
I'm really genuinely excited for all of our community,
Oh,
because I've been doing this for a long time, and I haven't been able to find anyone who can do all this. It's someone who can help with a bit of design. It's someone who can help with the planning. Sometimes they don't want to. They're happy to do the architectural bit, but they don't want to do the building regs. And they also just didn't ever understand HMOs really. And now to have this, I just think is absolutely brilliant. And I'm really, really, really excited. Guys, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit of this, and sort of just giving us an eye into how you are thinking about things and some of the results that you've had.
thank
Um,
you for having us. We've
Yeah,
really
thanks, Andy.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
I,
And it's
I'm,
great
I,
to go through, talk about what we do and how we can help people so we can all elevate the rental market together.
I'm going to take great pleasure now in telling all of our listeners exactly where they can find more information about you and where to contact you. So we've got a brand new page up on the HMO Roadmap website for Andrew and Mary and their specialist HMO architecture and interior design service. So all you need to do is head to the Roadmap page, hmoroadmap.co.uk. We've got an area for services, and on there you'll find a drop down and you'll find Andrew and Mary's page, and you can contact them directly on there now. You can go and do it right now. If you've got a project coming up, go and speak to the guys. They're going to be busy. I know it. They're going to be really busy next year with all this stuff. Thank you so much, guys. I've got a few more episodes that I just want to go into some more of this in more detail. Just finding out what we can actually be doing to push these rents and to elevate our products. I'm really excited. So next year we're going to get back on the show, and I think we're going to do more of these. But thank you so much. Thank you
Okay.
for partnering with us at the Roadmap, and thanks for sharing all of your expertise with us.
Thank you so much for having
Yeah,
us on,
thank
and
you, Andy.
thanks for putting your trust in us, Andy.
Yeah,
We love it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
thanks, Andy.
Thank you.